Calaroga Shark Media.
Hey there, I'm Johnny Mac, back in the good old USA, where I realized there is something worse than an Adam Sandler comedy, and it's monkeypox. So I'm not going to live in Montreal if that stuff's going around. Chris Rock was at the Laugh Factory last week, did a set. The performance was unannounced, word spread fast, the energy in the room turned kinetic. People on site said Chris Rock's delivery was sharp, his timing impeccable. Rock got a standing O. People kept their phones down. It wasn't even a yonder situation. People are wondering what Chris is tuning up for. A Netflix special? Oscar host? Chris Rock didn't say, but apparently he was pretty tight. That's cool. Bobby Lee talked about filming the film The Wrong Missy. He had a single line of dialogue, which is, "Welcome, Mr. and Mrs. Morris." But delivering those words proved challenging due to a conflict with one of the film's producer, comedic movie expert Adam Sandler. Bobby Lee said, "I'm on set, feeling good. It's outside, Hawaii. Everyone on the set is a friend of mine. Action." And then somebody else, "Stop. It's Sandler, who never comes to set." He comes down, he goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I go, "Oh, hey, Adam." And he goes, "What are you doing?" Sandler didn't feel Bobby Lee's performance was organic enough. I mean, Adam Sandler cares about the quality of his films, as you know. Sandler says, "Do it more natural." Bobby Lee says, "Okay." I do it again. "Stop." He comes back. Lee explained what happens when you're doing one line is the whole time when you're watching the scene, all you're thinking about is the one line and you're running through it in your mind 10,000 times. People are paying attention to a recent episode of the Tim Dillon podcast. Tim was suggesting that somebody had shared information about the Jeffrey Epstein case. Now, Tim, you never know what's real, what's serious, what's a joke, but the media is starting to pick up. Dillon suggested he had dinner with J.D. Vance, and as the story goes, Vance told him that the Epstein video files were just commercial pornography and didn't show any powerful people in bad situations. Dillon pushed back, asking, then why did Pam Bondi call it evidence? Keep an eye on that developing story. From Yahoo Canada, they raved about Gianmarco Soresii, who told Yahoo Canada. Sometimes people say, "Oh, he never misses," and I'm like, I don't caption the misses. Sometimes I feel like I get lucky. I just know how to continue a conversation and come with a point of view. The discussion here is about crowd work. I try to think of asking the questions that are impolite to ask, the ones that you want to, but it's like, well, that's insane. I think with comedy, you're in a safe space of like, I could say why does this suck, or how did they die, and just go into the weeds. I have a bit that talks about the registered sex offender registry, and it turns out a lot of countries don't have one, and if you start asking about that, you can just go from there. I try to push myself to ask beyond the regular questions. Of Montreal, he said, "It's advantageous to be an American comedian. I have a joke that's a riff about RFK Jr., and does he get the same exact response as in America? No, but the fact that it can work in Barcelona is insane, because I can't tell you anything about Spain, but I just found out they still have a king. I have a lot of negative feelings toward my country right now, and Canada is more than happy to hear them." He talked about his parents. He said, "I think one of the benefits I have is my father doesn't really watch my stand-up and certainly doesn't fully comprehend it. If he does, my mom doesn't mind me being mean, and none of my siblings care, and my former stepfather, so I've never been told not to say something. I do get to talk about, especially my father, in a way that anyone who has a more functional relationship would go, I couldn't possibly express that feeling or articulate that, and I consider that one of the elements that I have as a stand-up that's very beneficial to writing material. I'm lucky to have autonomy." Great to see him, I'll use the phrase, stepping up in class. Getting more and more known, and he's a cool guy. He's been a guest on this show twice. Great to see. Pete Davidson admits he was concerned about not being a very good comedian after getting sober. He was on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. Pete said, "I was nervous about it because maybe I'm not very good, or maybe I was so high I thought I was good. I'm weirdly sharper and more aware, so it's more fun." Jimmy Fallon said, "Enjoying it more?" Pete said, "Yeah, when people laugh, you feel it as opposed to just sitting there so high sitting there." Michael Kosta weighed in on ColbertGate. From Late Nighter, Kosta said of CBS, "If it's important to you, you would keep it. You'd figure it out. Do you know how much BS CBS, ABC, NBC, Fox puts out that loses money? It all loses money. Every once in a while, something doesn't. I think they're kowtowing to Trump. I think everybody is, which is what authoritarian leaders want. They silence their critics." Kosta speculated why The Daily Show hasn't drawn heat yet. He said, maybe it's a good thing that there's 25 Daily Show hosts, because it's really easy to point the finger at one person, Colbert. They can't just say, Kosta said this. It's like, Colbert, Colbert, Colbert. You know, we rotate the ball around. I don't know. Maybe that's helpful for us. Maybe The Daily Show has flown under the radar because we're on cable, because we're not broadcast, because when you check into a hotel and you turn the TV on, it doesn't just turn to CBS, ABC, or NBC. You have to find us. Maybe The Daily Show's in a good position because we're on cable and cable's dying and they could sell us to Hulu or Netflix. Why couldn't you go to Netflix or Amazon Prime and The Daily Show's right there? Chris DeStefano talked about filling in for Jimmy Kimmel. I guess that's 2 weeks ago now. He told Yahoo, it was one of those things where in the moment I was like, I got this. And then right when the curtains opened, they were like, please welcome your guest host, Chris DeStefano. I thought I was going to pass out. All the anxiety I was pushing down just rushed right to my head. His mother was in the front row. Normally, I don't like having my family in the front row because comedy is a very vulnerable thing, but I almost felt like a child again. My mom was in the front row, and that calmed me down. When I saw her, I was like, oh, mom's right there. You're safe. It was a very bizarre feeling. He, too, was in Montreal. Hope you don't get the Mpox. He said, the Montreal Just for Laughs Comedy Festival is my favorite comedy festival in the world. I just love how it takes over the city. Yeah, it felt kind of normal. Maybe a few less big stars than in the past, but in terms of taking over the city, that whole downtown area, you knew the festival was there like usual. Chris said, one of the best parts for me, not only do I get to do my show, then you can jump on other comedian shows that maybe they live in another part of the country or world and you haven't seen them in a while. He says, Toronto audiences feel like New York, more blue collar, will laugh, have that edge. In Montreal, you definitely have to work a little harder. They're a little bit more like impress me, which I don't mind that. And then Vancouver's more like LA. They're chill. But then I really like cities like Winnipeg and Edmonton because people are just getting hammered and laughing and everything. That rowdiness where it's almost like, oh, wow, there's going to be a fist fight at my show tonight. So we still don't know what CBS will do at 11:30, but at 12:30, Byron Allen is gearing up for its new 12:30 time slot. His company is recording 132 new episodes of Comics Unleashed. That series started in 2006, has only sporadically produced new episodes. Until 2014, the show had episodes that had been produced between 2006 and 2007. Then it ran between the end of The Late Late Show and the beginning of Taylor Tomlinson on CBS. They had filmed some new episodes in 2023. Comics Unleashed gets the 12:30 slot September 22nd. Fred Armisen has a new album coming out. It's called 100 Sound Effects. It'll be out September 26th. The album consists of 101 sound effects, not 100, ranging in length from 2 seconds to 2 minutes. Track names include Needle on Record, Band Soundcheck Sound Guy, and Band Agreeing for Too Long. Why this? Good question. Armisen said, I was thinking about haunted house sound effects albums and how fun those seem to record. Ralph Barbosa will have a hilarious special August 8th. The trailer is out. Got the audio for you here. I think the material is pretty good, but as a trailer, I'm not sure it's really that good as a trailer. Hulu really scoped down his jokes, so most of the editing you're about to hear is from Hulu, not from me, especially going from line to line. I didn't make the cuts there at all. I did trim a little music, but let's listen to Ralph Barbosa into the break.
What's up, everybody? I'm almost 5'7". Yeah, I'm not 5'7". I wish I was. I would not be doing comedy. Why would I need to impress people? I'd be grown, you know? But I see a 5'6" dude, I'll beat his little ass. Kamehameha. I know what I like and what I don't like. I like girls who don't wear way too much makeup. And you can always tell, because when y'all take it off, we're just like, hey, you're an artist. And a liar. Girls are really big on traveling nowadays, but that can be tough on your pockets. That's why I only go out with girls who are here illegally. Y'all have reached your final destination. Let's go under the covers where they can't find you. I also want to say another thing, man. Don't ever leave my show thinking you learned something.
As I prepped the show, I saw this headline from WBOC TV. Now, WBOC TV, listen to me. You got to come down with this. Their headline, Ocean City is welcoming legendary comedian. Okay, I'm going to stop there, dear listener. They're welcoming legendary comedian blank. Who do you think I'm about to say? Wrong. Whatever you said, you're wrong. The full headline, Ocean City is welcoming legendary comedian Tom Papa. Tom Papa doesn't think Tom Papa is legendary. What are you doing? You sound insane. Stop with that. Ocean City is welcoming hilarious comedian Tom Papa. Great. Ocean City is welcoming really cool dude Tom Papa. Great. Ocean City is welcoming radio host and podcaster Tom Papa. Great. Ocean City is welcoming really, 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 really funny comedian and TV host Tom Papa. Great. Legendary? Not everyone's a legend. Stop. You sound insane. A follow-up to a story last week. Remember the comedian in Germany who was facing jail time for making an assassination joke about a really famous politician? Again, I don't want visits from guys in suits and sunglasses, so I'll let you figure out who the politician is. The judge said his joke was clear satire. Judge Andrea Wilms handed down the verdict and said the posts were clearly recognizable as satire, adding she could not discern any intention to disrupt public order. She did describe the post as being in bad taste, but didn't believe that anyone would feel incited to commit a crime after reading such obviously satirical statements. She added, in a liberal democracy like Germany, it's desirable for people to be able to argue about good and bad opinions. I bet they don't cancel late-night shows. Meanwhile, a comedian has canceled her show at the Fringe Festival due to bail conditions imposed after a van was allegedly driven into a fence at an arms factory in the city. Susan Riddell was going to debut her new show, How Do You Sleep at Night, at the Edinburgh Fringe. However, she appeared at Edinburgh Sheriff Court via video link and made no plea to a charge of malicious mischief aggravated by having a, quote, terrorist connection, unquote, after a van was allegedly driven into the fence of a factory on July 15th. She said on Instagram, thanks to everybody who shared my Fringe show, but unfortunately, due to bail conditions, I'm barred from Edinburgh for the foreseeable, so I won't be doing my show. If you contact the venue, you can get a refund. Maybe go see the brilliant Amanda Dwyer instead. She also shared a link to a charity raising money for water tanks in Gaza. Friend of the show, Jason Zinnemann in the New York Times wrote about alt comedy. This got a little lost both between ColbertGate and the Montreal Comedy Festival. Jason wrote, if Nathan Fielder performed stand-up comedy, he might look something like Brent Weinbach. It's not only that Weinbach maintains an impenetrable deadpan or seeks out awkward silence or builds jokes around overly elaborate setups. His new special, Popular Culture on YouTube, also exploits the central conceit of Fielder's The Rehearsal, including several bits where Weinbach prepares for a future event with a practice run to get ready for fatherhood. He acts out responses to discovering his daughter smoking marijuana. Things get weird. Weinbach's Hour, a very funny collection of eccentric impressions. Oddball Advice and Flights of Fancy would once have been quickly classified as alternative comedy. Sounds like that's pretty good. Zinnemann writes, sticking with that premise, so would the new special from Eddie Pepitone, but the term alternative comedy has fallen out of fashion in part because it's become too vague, and yet I increasingly find myself missing it. Pepitone projects the chaotic energy of a thunderstorm. Jason writes, Pepitone's Hour made me laugh louder than anything all year, and his cheerfully unhinged, mad-as-hell working-class persona meets our current chaotic moment perfectly. He should be just right for those reading the news today and looking for a comedian to express their exasperation with the world. That's some high praise there. I will have to catch up on my comedy. I mean, I haven't been home at all. And between a road trip and ColbertGate, been super, super busy. But I feel like this program has been pretty strong lately. So again, I thank you for listening every day. I appreciate you. And I'll see you tomorrow.